What's up, everybody? We're back. We're live streaming. We're hanging out. I was really looking forward to this. It has been too long since we've hung out together. And today, Adam Lally is also back. He's in court. We're going to watch him, but we're not going to watch him be a lawyer. Instead, he is a witness, basically, in a hearing for another case dealing with him and Proctor and how the prosecutors and law enforcement do things in Massachusetts. And we're going to talk about how wide reaching this might be, how big of a deal this might be, how he discusses the way the process works in this prosecutor's office, how they handle cases, how they protect the rights of the criminal defendants that they are prosecuting, and the justice that they are supposed to be fighting for. We're going to talk about all that, what it means, and what I would do if I was a judge in this situation, what I would do if I was a prosecutor in this office, what I would do if I was a criminal defense attorney handling cases against this office, because surely there is a lot to learn here. So before we even jump into the hearing itself, and we're going to listen to a lot, like 90% of what Adam Lally had to testify to from the stand, I just want to explain to you and set the table here of just how important this is. It's unusual that prosecutors take the stand and testify to things like this. But in this case, where the defendant's name is King, I believe, Miles King, it is also a case involving the loss of life, and he's accused of ending that person's life. And so it's a very serious case. It's a high stakes case. And Adam Lally was the prosecutor on this case at one point. And so much discovery was delayed, not turned over last minute. So it affected the ability for a criminal defense attorney to prepare and try this case while the criminal defendant is sitting in jail for 3+ years, I believe. I don't know all of the backstory on Miles King's case, but the important part of this is the world is getting to see how the Norfolk DA's office works, how law enforcement works with them, what they do to prepare a case, to prosecute a case, what it looks like when they're thinking about what is a criminal defendant's right to a fair trial, what is the Rule 14 discovery. All of this is really, really important in the context of Karen Read, but every other case for justice in Norfolk County and in Massachusetts, because the way they handle this case, and you'll hear the judge is like, okay, we're talking general process and procedure of how Mr. Lally handles a case. It is so bad. And if I'm a criminal defense lawyer and this is now available to me, I am looking at this now saying, Judge, this discovery is late. They haven't turned over the discovery. And we know that this is how the Norfolk DA's office works, citing the transcript of this hearing. This is real, and this is important because now it's on the record. It's going to get typed out. By the way, this lawyer who's questioning Adam Lally impeaches him with statements he made in prior hearings. We also remember Adam Lally, Hank Brennan talking about these Rule 14 violations, what a big deal it is, how it can't happen, how it is something that stands in the way of justice. To me, this is something I would print out this transcript and keep it in my desk drawer for any time I had a case against anybody in the Norfolk County DA's office. Anytime discovery was delayed, anytime there was an issue where I just didn't believe what the DA said or what a law enforcement officer said, because this is important. How they handle these cases, how they view these criminal defendants. And I can only imagine now the ripple effect this is going to cause in all of the cases they're handling. And it should, because this is not how it should be. This is just absolutely not how it should be. Chris K, welcome back, Peter. Can a prosecutor refuse to answer questions claiming it is work product? Not in this scenario where the judge is telling him, you have to answer these questions. You have to explain what happened and why it happened. Because again, this is the other thing. We haven't heard from Proctor. They continued this hearing, so we're going to finish it another day. If you guys want to, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments if you want me to keep following this. I found today to be incredibly interesting. But when we talk about the debacle that was the Karen Read investigation and prosecution and investigation done by law enforcement, we have to realize these rules apply to people who are not guilty, like Karen Read. Some say factually innocent, like Karen Read. Also people that are guilty. These same rules still apply. We need to protect their constitutional rights, which doesn't mean they walk free. It doesn't mean every case is dismissed and all these guilty people go out there. It just means if law enforcement did something wrong in the investigation, gathered something wrong, violated somebody's rights, and it's fruit of the poisonous tree, that should be struck. They shouldn't be able to use it. If prosecutors fail to disclose things timely and it is prejudicial, they shouldn't be able to use it at trial. If they can still prove the case and prove somebody is guilty, they should be allowed to do that. So it doesn't mean just because something is suppressed, just because somebody is called out for misconduct, just because somebody is sanctioned, doesn't mean a guilty person is going to go free. But the law needs to be applied appropriately for the worst of us in order for it to be applied in a way that protects the best of us. Oh, I'm looking forward to this breakdown. So am I. And a bunch of you guys sent me this from a bunch of different channels. I know that this channel, the Young Jerks channel, covered the Karen Reed case, had Mark Bettero on a bunch. I think they're having Mark Bettero on to talk about this later tonight. So you guys should check that out and see what Mark Bettero has to say about this, because this is also somebody fighting this DA's office. And if I'm Bettero, I'm using this against them. I think he will. I think he is going to learn things from this hearing that he will use against them in Turtle Boy's case. Also, speaking of Turtle Boy's case, a lot of you guys asked me to cover it. If it goes to trial, we will absolutely cover it. To dive in now, there's so much going on. Maybe we'll pick and choose a Bettero letter here or there. I'm not going to be able to fully cover it. I have a trial coming up that's starting the same day as Adelson. So I'm still trying to prep and get ready to cover Adelson and this trial. And then there's a couple other things. Aaron Spencer, that case has piqued my interest if you guys are interested in that. But send me stuff on Twitter. If there's a trial starting now, if there's a trial starting Monday, trials are easier to jump into. We get opening statements and we run with it. I'm probably not going to be able to do a ton of background on a brand new case at this point. If I was, the Aaron Spencer case is the one that has really interested me, but let me know what you guys are watching. Yeah, I see a lot of you guys saying you watched the trial with the Young Jerks. So yeah, this is one of many that you guys sent me, but since I know that he was covering the Karen Reed case and is having Bettero on, we decided to use this stream. So go ahead and take a listen to what Bettero has to say about this tonight as well. Yeah, Brian Walsh. Okay, so that's another good example here. I don't know when the Brian Walsh trial is starting. All I know about Brian Walsh is he had some crazy Google searches that surely make him look guilty publicly. But I also know that a lot of the people involved in his investigation are not the best at doing their job. And I'm sure they screwed up. And if they did, there should be sanctions, either suppressing evidence or allowing defense lawyers to cross-examine them, to a robust cross-examination, one may say. All of that should be allowed against Brian Walsh, even if you think he's guilty. Doesn't mean he's going to be set free. Doesn't mean he's going to win. Doesn't mean he's going to be not guilty. Doesn't mean any of that. But the law has to be applied appropriately and the right way and the just way for everybody. And I think Brian Walsh is a great example of that. That is going to be hard for people to stomach. And I totally get it. I totally understand it. So Lally's on the stand. He's talking about evidence, how he gathered it, how he gets along with law enforcement, what he tells them, how he follows up, what he turns over, and when he turns it over to the criminal defense attorney. And your mind will be blown at how apathetic you may think he's apathetic, right? We saw him try an entire case, but holy cow. The apathy that's coming from this witness stand on somebody who's supposed to be an administrator of justice, fighting for justice, seeking truth and justice, is something that like hurts my soul, literally.
Remain in the file? Your list with the check marks remain in the file?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And have you reviewed any of them before you testified here today?
No.
Okay. Is there a reason you didn't review the file before you testified here today?
I don't have the file.
You worked.
My man knew he was going to come here and testify all about this and what he did in this case. Then what did you do in preparation if not look at your file? Why did you not look at your file? He's Adam Lally. He's also a lawyer who knows what they're going to ask and how they're going to ask it. So was it purposeful that he didn't look at his file?
To the DA's office, right?
I do.
And it's in the DA's office, right?
Yes.
And you knew you were going to be asked questions about this case, right?
Yes.
And you didn't do anything to educate yourself about what you did initially on the case?
Objection. This is her witness. Well, I'm not sure I agree with that as an objection, but...
Objection, this is her witness. The reason for that objection is she shouldn't be cross-examining him, asking him closed-ended questions, badgering him, basically treating him as a hostile witness. We all know why we're here. The judge is like, not sure I agree with that objection, but I'm going to sustain it for relevance. And then we move on, but it's pretty funny. This defense lawyer is chef's kiss.
Sustain the objection as to the relevance. He did not review the file. Next
So
question.
what did you review in preparation for your testimony here today?
I reviewed portions of the file. I reviewed some of the items that have been produced by ADA Hickman. I reviewed search warrants. I reviewed police reports. I reviewed, you were asking specifically as far as checklists or notations. I didn't review.
Did you review the file, Mr. Lally, or did you not review the file? Because it sure sounds like you reviewed the file, but when she was asking you certain questions, you wanted to act like you didn't review the file. He's like, I just didn't review those few things of the file, as in the checklist and what have they provided me. Basically, she's asking him basic questions. We're lawyers, okay? We research, we document, we prepare. We are very detail oriented. If you don't prepare, you get screwed. But in this situation, she's asking him, how did you know what you had and what you didn't have? How do you know? What is your process and procedure? How do you follow up? Because I know I have a practice management software that reminds me. I have a paralegal that reminds me. I have a client who's asking me questions and push. I know exactly how we do things. We have checklists. I could explain it in detail that would bore you to death. Adam Lally's like, I don't really know. And I didn't look at the file to see how I do it.
Those, but I did review. I have portions of the file. I have access to the file, and I did review portions of the file.
Okay. So you did review portions of the files.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You just didn't review your checklist.
No.
Okay. Now, in terms of the Milton Police Department, do you also have?
So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. There's just a couple moments that are a little bit slow, or they're looking at documents, literally not very many, but I'm going to cut as much as I can just because it's about an hour and we're going to listen to about 45 minutes of it.
What happens when you ask for something, let's just say from the state police, and they don't give it to you? What's the next thing you do?
That's a great question. What happens when you ask the state police for something, they don't give it to you? We know that happens and it can take time and sometimes it's delayed, but what do you do? Because it's your job. What do you do to make sure you get that information so you can turn it over to the defense? Because you have to prosecute a case. You have to build it. You need the evidence. You need the discovery. And then you need to turn it over once you have it. So how do you keep track of the discovery you get or you don't get?
The next thing I do would be to ask for it again.
Okay. How many times do you ask for it before you have a meeting with the state police to look at their file?
Objection. The biggest objection I have here is that we're not speaking about any individual document, any individual date. Vague questions about policy.
Yeah, this is general practice. Generally, Mr. Lally's practice.
So the judge jumps in. First off, the lawyer objects and says, hey, we're not talking about any specific case. The judge is like, no, this is just Mr. Lally's general practice. What do? You ask for it. They don't give it to you. What does he say? I ask for it again. Okay, Mr. Lally, how many times do you ask for it before you do more? Ask for a meeting. Talk to a supervisor. She's going to get him a lot of different options to see. What do you do? Thank you, Rebecca, for gifting 10 Lawyer You Know memberships. The Members Only Live this month, by the way, is going to be all about the trip to Greece. It's going to be really fun. Can't wait to talk about it with you guys. It was amazing. A lot of roller coaster things being international. I have a lot of thoughts on whether or not I'll ever do it again. So we'll hang there. That's going to be the July members only, and I'm excited about that as well. I'm so happy to be back. I'm pumped to be back here hanging out with you guys.
I think part of the issue here is we don't have very specific items that are being referred to. Right. But I think I'm going to overrule the objection and give Attorney Scapiccio a little bit of leeway here in terms of general practice.
So in general, how many times do you email for the same document before you go to the state police and start to have a sit down with them?
I think it varies. I think it would be depending on a lot of different factors as far as what the item is, what the explanation is for why I don't have it yet, whether it's not available or whether it's something that they're currently working on, or if it's something that I know has been completed and I've asked for it multiple times and I still don't have it. I'm not saying that even happened in this case, but if in a general practice, if that were something that were going on, then yes, I would want to sit down with somebody and figure out exactly what's going on. Okay.
So let me ask specific questions about this case. When you reached out, let's start with Trooper Proctor. In this case, looking for information, and there were emails back and forth. Were there any occasions where you did not get the documents or the information that you were seeking from Trooper Proctor?
I don't recall anything specific other than if it was a situation where I'm looking for a report about something and that report hasn't been completed yet, or that item hasn't been obtained yet for whatever reason. But I don't recall in this case ever asking for something and just not getting it.
So he doesn't recall. He's talking about this case, but we can all think back to the Karen Reed case, some very important pieces of evidence that were asked for and never turned over by Trooper Proctor. But this is the apathy he deals with it in. What is an ADA able to do when the MSP ignores responsibilities? What is the role of the DA? When is the MSP held accountable? Well, the DA can ruffle the feathers and say, you're not providing us information we can prosecute these cases. We've got to dismiss these cases. We can't prosecute them if you're not giving us the information. And officers have gotten talked to, fired when they do things like that. We used to have officers that would give us arrests, and we're like, we can't prove any of this. You didn't take witness statements. You didn't do that. And once their supervisors start figuring that out, there are elected officials involved. There are communities involved. There's publicity involved in all this. And you don't want to be the police station that does a bad job. You don't want to be in the chair of the state police. So you work your way up the chain of command. Your supervisors, who's going to know the sheriff or the chief of police or whoever the top dog is there, when you talk to them enough and this information is going on, it's not a good thing. This isn't like, and again, to me, this hurts the cover up and adds to they are just so bad at what they do. This was such a bad and negligent investigation. And again, multiple theories can be true at the same time. But generally speaking, this just goes to the negligence, the apathy, the horrible investigation and prosecution of every case these people touch, it seems like.
Do you remember asking Trooper Proctor for the search warrants that he did in this case?
Yes.
And the affidavit?
So he's like, I don't recall asking Proctor for anything he didn't turn over. She's like, what about the search warrants? That's pretty important. We've reviewed warrants in other cases, and we see just how important it is. She's like, do you remember asking for that?
Accompanying the search warrants.
Yes.
And did he provide them to you?
What I received was a partial affidavit for search warrant.
Did he provide them to you, yes or no?
Some.
How many search warrants do you recall there being in the King Gardner case?
In 2021 or beyond?
Let's start with 2021. How many search warrants? Yes,
6.
6 search warrants. In my opinion, I think a lot of this also is the judge's fault, not just prosecutors, but when defense lawyer says discovery has been turned over, the trial should be stopped right then. Not just that, but a judge can issue an order for the state. Now, if it's the FBI, we talked a little bit about it in the Koberger case, and you saw what the defense lawyers did there. They asked the judge for help, and the judge did help them. With the state police, the judge can be like, I'm ordering you, because these cops end up in front of these judges a lot in these jurisdictions that are local. It's like, I'm ordering you to turn this over. And if not, show cause. You've got to show up to a hearing and explain to me why you haven't turned these over. That greases the wheels big time. Kate Peter pled guilty to witness intimidation against Aiden Kearney today from about the court case. Wow. I did not see that. That's wild. That's wild. Nurse of Interest, thank you for gifting 10 memberships.
When you asked, and he signed all 6 search warrants, is that fair to say?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. And so when did you ask Trooper Proctor for the search warrant?
In July or August of 2021 when they were filed for.
Okay. And when did you get all 6 search warrants from Trooper Proctor?
I didn't get all 6 search warrants from Trooper Proctor.
You did not?
I did not.
Okay. So did you get 1 search warrant?
So like, again, how's that possible? They said in the Turtle Boy case, the judge did issue orders and the discovery still wasn't turned over. That's when sanctions need to come. Sanctions for the prosecutor, sanctions for law enforcement. You need to do that. You need to use the rules available to you. Judges don't like doing it. Some lawyers don't like asking for it for other lawyers. But man, you have to, especially when, I'm just telling you, this would bolster so many arguments. Like when they say no, or it doesn't exist, or we tried, I'm reading this transcript. This is how Lally works. This is how the Norfolk DA's office works, Judge. How am I supposed to deal with this? We know it exists and they're not turning it over. They reference it in the grand jury. We know these search warrants exist. How is this possible?
From him specifically, I received a portion of the affidavit for search warrant 306 and the entire affidavit for search warrant 348.
Okay, so you got portions of 2 search warrants, and you knew there were 6 search warrants. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you make notes somewhere in your file? Geez, I asked Trooper Proctor for these 6 search warrants. You haven't given them to me yet?
I believe yes.
Okay, so don't give me your file.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and then when you didn't get the search warrants from Trooper Proctor, did you meet with him?
Yes, I mean, specific to that, I don't recall any.
Why not? And this is where it really bothers me. Did you meet with him? Yeah, probably did. Obviously, we realize they prep these witnesses. We know they meet with each other. We know how that works. Why would you not ask him for that? Why is that not important to you? The defense is asking for it, specifically telling you, we know they exist. You don't give it to them. Like, this is the type of stuff where the apathy has to rise to the level of prosecutorial misconduct. Prosecutors cannot be this apathetic. They cannot sit on their hands. It affects the rights of criminal defendants. It is not justice. Brianna said, John Kelsey, other channels have figured out a way to revert our usernames back to the original handle. Can you look into it, please? Thank you. John, he's who's on this today. Kelsey's on vacation this week. So John, can you look into this, please? You can be bothered for him and you because he didn't care at all. Yeah, he can't be bothered to follow up on something that is essential to the defendant's case. And here's what else. And this is something they talk about in this hearing. No prosecutor is going to tell me what is probative, what's prejudicial, what I want to use, what's relevant, what's exculpatory. Turn it over. You know you have to turn that over. I'll decide what I want to do with it in the case if I'm the defense lawyer on the case.
Specific meeting related to search warrants, but we did meet several times in relation to this investigation in this case.
But you understand that search warrants are Rule 14 automatic discovery, right? And you knew there were 6 search warrants, right?
I did.
And so when do you realize that you don't have all 6 search warrants? How long into the process? Do you know right away you don't have them all? Or do you not know for a long time you don't have them all?
I don't think I realized at that time that I didn't have them all.
So
That's the other thing. It's like, well, I wasn't going to use them in my prosecution of the case, so I don't really care. It's like, that's exactly the problem. You know that's discoverable. You have to get it. You have to turn it over.
Yes, I'm confused about how your system works. You said you had a system where if you asked for something and you didn't get it, you would then follow up with the police officer asking again and again. Did you do that with Trooper Proctor in this case with the 6 search warrants?
Yes, I believe so.
How many times did you email Trooper Proctor asking for the 6 search warrants?
I don't know.
More than 10?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
So she's like, either you're going to roll on this or you're going to throw Proctor under the bus. One of the two. You might as well throw Proctor at this point. We all know how it's going for him. Proctor to testify on August 5th. Where's Tully? Yeah, well, it depends on what Proctor says. If Proctor says, I did it, I screwed up, whatever. If he's like, chain of command, this is how I do it. This is how I was told to do it. Then I agree. I think you need Tully.
How far in between each email? Did you wait a month and email him again? Did you wait a week? Did you wait a day? How long in between your requests to Trooper Proctor to produce the 6 search warrants in this case?
I don't know.
You don't?
No.
Did you review your emails before you came here today?
He doesn't know, and he literally doesn't care. Again, this is the stuff that like hurts inside my soul because guess what? He's the one making these decisions where it's like, okay, my client wants a plea. Can we talk about a plea deal? He's the one you have to go to. Or my client is innocent. Can I provide this to you to look at? This is who you have to convince. A guy who literally seems to not care about any of it. That's what, like, one of the reasons I don't do as much criminal defense as well is because it is something that grates on me that prosecutor's office put certain people in positions of power that have these decision-making, and there's no repercussions if they lose, if they screw up, if they're totally wrong, if they don't listen to you. It is so frustrating. So there are other ways to affect the process, and YouTube is one of those ways. To highlight it, to discuss it. I've talked to a lot of defense lawyers about this, and they feel the same way. It is so frustrating that these are the people, and not all prosecutors. Some prosecutors are amazing. We've hired prosecutors. A lot of us are former prosecutors, right? So it's not every prosecutor, so don't think that that's what I'm saying. But when you get certain prosecutors who are in charge and the decision makers, and this is how they look at the case, it is brutal. It is brutal.
Some of them, yes.
Did you see any emails to and from Trooper Proctor regarding the search warrants?
Yes.
How many did you see?
I don't recall.
More than 5?
Yes.
More than 10?
I don't know.
What are the dates of the first time you asked Trooper Proctor for the search warrant?
Specific date, I don't know.
How long before the next time you asked him for a 6 search warrant?
Specifically, I don't know.
Was it months or weeks?
Weeks.
Weeks later. Okay,
Yes.
so that's 2 times you asked him. What about the third time? How much time went by?
I don't know.
Months or weeks?
I don't know.
What about the 4th time?
Again, I don't know how many times and I don't know specific dates.
So I guess my question is, how does your system work if you're not getting the discovery that you're asking a police officer for, and you're asked for it, let's just say 5 times? What do? Do you go to the office and you sit down and say, give me these search warrants, I have to turn them over?
She's like, yeah, what's your plan? When you don't get what you need, what's your plan? And it's obvious just by his demeanor, he doesn't really care.
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes.
You go to Trooper Proctor and say, give me the search warrants because I have to turn them over.
Yes.
When did you do that?
Sometime prior to the defendant's arraignment in December of 21.
November of 21, did you say?
December of 21.
December of 21. So when you get to his office, do you go there or do you tell him to come to your office? I don't know how that works.
Either way, I don't
Remember how you met about the search warrant the first time?
In
In other words, did he come to you or you go to him?
I don't know.
Okay. So you have a sit down.
Yes.
And you ask him for the 6 search warrants. What does he say?
So he will get them to me.
He will get them to you.
Yes.
Okay. If you tell him I have an obligation to turn this over because it's Rule 14 discovery, I need it right away. I've asked for it 5 times. What's the deal?
She's like, do you not explain to him how important this is? Rule 14 discovery. If you don't turn it over, I'm going to be in trouble. Michelle said, why is it not popping up? I have to take a Watson Glaser test as a pre-employment requirement for a supply chain role. I think I'll be ready to be a lawyer after this test. Haha. Wish me luck. John, for some reason, oh, there we go. I couldn't get it to pop up, but there it is. And thank you, TJ, for gifting 5 Lawyer You Know memberships. There's like a delay when I'm clicking them, so hopefully it's working. Hopefully I'm not freezing. John, let me know if I am.
Those specific words, no, but the gist, yes.
Well, tell me what you said specifically.
I don't know.
Well, give me a best estimate of what you said. Trooper Proctor asked 5 times
Objection.
search warrants that he didn't turn over.
Sustained.
So did you keep any notes of your conversations with Trooper Proctor when you were asking for these 6 search warrants that he didn't give you?
No.
Why not?
There's the same people that, want to condemn and act like they're committing fraud and atrocities for using Signal, but it's like, yeah, I'm sure we met. I don't remember if he walked into my office or I walked into him. There's no notes, there's no checklist, there's no record, but yes, it did happen. Yes, I did try to do my job, even though for years he didn't provide me this information that we all knew I had to discover in this case, and while your client was sitting in jail.
It was something that I knew that was outstanding. It was something that I had asked for in written form numerous times. I didn't feel the need to write a note that I asked for it again.
So that's the first sit down. Did you send emails after the first sit down saying, hey, you promised me you're going to send these 6 search warrants, I still don't have them?
Objection, assuming facts.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the
Did you
question?
send another email to Trooper Proctor after you had this sit down sometime in December of 2021 saying, hey, you still didn't send those 6 search warrants, can you send them over?
Yes.
How far after Mr. King's arraignment in December of 2021 did you send that email to Trooper Proctor?
I don't know.
Was it a year?
I don't think so, no.
What do you think? What's your best estimate of when you sent that email after you sat down with Trooper Proctor?
I would say probably a few months later.
All right, a few months.
Yes.
So
So he hasn't turned stuff over. You asked multiple times. You have a sit-down meeting, and you still wait a few months to get it. I've got to be so annoying to people that I need things for because I hound them. You've got to get it. You've got to get it. And again, this isn't a traffic ticket, and that's important too, to the person getting the traffic ticket. But like, this is the most important type of case.
February, March of 2022, is that what you think it?
I don't recall specifically.
So when you're in this room with Trooper Proctor asking about the 6 search warrants, do you ask him for his file? Like, give me your whole file so I can go through it and figure out what's in it?
No.
Why not? You're there. There's outstanding discovery. You have the obligation, not the police officer. Why don't you ask?
I entrusted that whatever discovery I was requesting, I would get at some point in a timely fashion and then turn it over.
But you didn't get it. You asked for it 5 times. You didn't get it. You had to go see him. You have them right there now, and you still don't say, give me your file? Let me go through it?
No, I did not.
And when he says you'll get the search warrants, I'll send them to you. Did he have them? Did he have copies of the search warrants? He just wasn't giving them to you?
That I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Well,
She's gonna.
you don't get the search warrants in any event after that sit down, and you send another email. What's Trooper Proctor's response to that email?
Again, I don't know that I sent another email, but I know that there were subsequent conversations about it. Whether it was what format it was in, I don't know.
Okay, and at this point, you have to be getting a little upset with Trooper Proctor that you're asking for information that he's not giving you, right?
Objection.
Overruled.
He's like, no, let him answer that. Do you care, Mr. Lally? Were you annoyed at Trooper Proctor because he's not allowing you to do your job?
I'm sorry, your question again?
You have to get a little upset at Trooper Proctor that you're asking him for information that he's not giving you, right?
I'd say upset, frustrated probably.
I'm sorry?
Frustrated probably.
So can we approach sidebar just briefly?
So they approach sidebar for about 5 minutes. We're going to jump ahead those 5 minutes. Skip the sidebar. I work in corrections. Words cannot express how much I appreciate your channel and how much I have learned. I sincerely hope Karen Reed is sitting back watching the show like a boss. Bird Mad Girl 1978. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love it. Being away for a little bit was nice. It was relaxing. It was fun. But man, I love it. I love hanging out with you guys. I love doing it live. Love answering questions. Love breaking things down. I love specifically the trials. I love watching the trials with you guys. That's where I feel like I learn the most. That's where I feel like I can add the most value for you. So I really want to know what trials are coming up that you guys are watching. Ashley, so glad you had a great vacation. Mom and I were going through withdrawals without our daily dose of lawyer. Same. And I'm pumped to be back, and we're hitting the ground running. We've got some really fun stuff. Outside the members only live, where we're talking about the Greece trip, we also have a really fun video. You guys all were like mad at me for not giving George the money when I gave him, my nephew, the /intern, the chance to win some money answering questions. We had another challenge that is going to blow that one out of the water that you're going to have to watch, and I think you're going to love it. Peter, do you think this would be happening if Morrissey had not prosecuted Karen Reed a second time? I don't think we'd be watching it. Actually, I don't know. You said the second time. If they would have never prosecuted Karen Reed, I don't think we'd be watching this. But the world is watching now. And again, that is how important cameras in the courtroom are, transparency, for us to be able to watch and take part in the justice that affects us and our loved ones if you live in America. That's what is so important about this.
I'm specific to the 6 search warrants. I don't recall, as far as there was a topic that was discussed repeatedly. Obviously, I never received them because I never provided them to you or to Ms. Costa.
Okay. So I guess what I'm saying is you knew they existed, and you knew that, let me just say, you knew that all 6 search warrants existed. Is that right?
Yes, we went through all six of the search warrants on the last day of the grand jury presentation on November 19th, 2021.
So you went through the presentation of all 6 search warrants in front of the grand jury in 2021. So I don't know if the grand jury, Nina asked if the grand jury ever saw the search warrants. I don't know if they saw them or if they just heard about them, but they used them in the grand jury, which tells you everything you need to know about how important they are and whether or not they should be discovered, right? Imagine that years after presenting them to the grand jury, you still haven't turned them over to the defense. I can't fathom that. Curtis, thank you so much for gifting 20 Lawyer You Know memberships.
That's in the grand jury minutes as far as going through each of the materials, each of the search warrants, that they were search warrants, how that material was obtained, and the material that was returned in response to 3 of the search warrants was marked as grand jury exhibits 33, 34, and 35.
Right, but not the third one.
Correct. Well, no, actually, I'm sorry.
Information in front of the grand jury about 6 search warrants that you hadn't seen, and you put returns or information that had been returned in front of the grand jury on search warrants you had never seen.
So with
Answer that question.
and I'm trying to, so
Okay.
with regard to those 3 search warrants, that was 306, 307, and 329, which were the call detail records for your client, the victim, Mr. Simmons, and Mr. Jeanette. The materials also that came back from the cell phone providers also contained a copy of the warrant, as well as the addendum to the warrant, which was then also provided to you and Ms. Costa in discovery.
But not the warrants themselves.
No, the warrants themselves and the addendums, not the application and not the affidavit.
Right, so you understand that in order to make a determination as to whether or not you're going to suppress certain information, you actually need what you asked for and what you, in the affidavit, that told the court magistrate why you had probable cause, right?
Objection.
I can take judicial notice of that, and I'm sure Mr. Lally knows that.
Okay, so you get in front of the grand jury. When do you present this case to the grand jury?
Began in July of 2021. That grand jury sat in July, August, and September. The presentation had not been completed at that point, so there was a motion to extend the grand jury. And I believe there was one subsequent date that we went before them on November 19th, 2021.
November what?
19th, 2021, that's when indictments were returned.
In 2021.
Correct.
Okay. So at some point when Mr. King is arraigned, you understand at that point Rule 14 kicks in, right?
Yes, I mean, I'm thinking,
right?
I'm thinking about Rule 14 well before that.
So he knows Rule 14 is discovery. He knows. He's got to turn all this over. What do you see happening with the Norfolk DA's office? I mean, new leadership, if I was a voter there, new leadership and from the top down. Like a lot of prosecutors will bring in their own people, especially as supervisors, hire new lawyers. So they'll keep the good ones. They'll re-interview everybody, see what's right for their office. To me, that's what needs to they need from the top down new leadership. And you can retrain people and tell them this is how we should be doing it. This is how we're going to do it now. Shouldn't those search warrants be turned over in evidence that was procured from the search warrants? Like this is 101. Of course they should be turned over. Everybody knows they should be turned over. I loved how you rocked the stash in Greece. That was a must. Let's get right back into it. Cheers. So, John, you know what's funny is we would go all these places, and I'm thinking like, I look so Greek. Everybody here in America tells me I look so Greek, and I'll save a lot of the stories for the people who don't care. But this was a funny one since John brought it up. Had the mustache, the long hair, whatever. And we're at these restaurants multiple times. Everybody's like, "That's a Greek boy over there." And guess who they were pointing to? Not me. They all pointed to Maverick. They were like, "That dude is as Greek as they come." I was like, "What about me? I don't look Greek." They're like, "You kind of look Australian." That's what they said, Australian. I was like, "What do Australians even look like?" Like, I just picture like surfer in Australian. I thought that was weird. They said I was the third most Greek looking person at the table. My sister, who I think kind of looks like me, you'll see her in the pictures in the members only live. They said she was number 2. My son, number 1, sister, number 2, and me, number 3. And both of us married very white people with like blonde hair, blue eyes. So most of the kids do not look Greek at all.
Okay. And when you arraign this case, you still don't have the search warrant. You have another conversation with Trooper Proctor about, hey, where are these search warrants? I have to turn them over.
I'm sure I did.
And do you know when that would have been?
I don't.
Okay. And then remember at some point in December of 2021, receiving a discovery notice from me. Hey, Prosecutor Trump,
Yes.
this is just my discovery notice.
That discovery motion or what is
Motion,
that?
I'm sorry, motion, Judge.
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember, after having filed this motion, you asked the time to go through and make sure that you can comply with all the requests, right?
Yes.
And you didn't have any specific objections to anything that I was asking for, right?
At that time, no.
Okay. May I proceed, Trump?
Yes.
Sorry, Judge.
Is that an exhibit? Is that a docket entry?
It is a docket entry, Judge.
You know what it is?
I think it's,
Or we can mark that just so that there's a record of what you're showing the witness?
that's my writing on it, Judge.
All right,
I won't
so-
mark it. But I'll do it after he gets the discovery notice. You know for sure that there are certain categories of information that we're looking for, right?
Yes.
And number 1 is all automatic mandatory discovery under Rule 14, right?
Correct.
Would you consider those search warrants automatic mandatory discovery under Rule 14? Okay. And we were looking.
Yeah, nobody's fighting about whether or not these are absolutely something you have to turn over, which is just all the more reason why this is so preposterous. It's not even like he objected and said, I don't think I should have to turn them over. And the judge had to tell him, yes, you do have to turn them over, and then compel him, because that can take years. It's frustrating, but sometimes that can take such a long time for everybody to get on the same page about what should be discovered, what shouldn't be discovered, why and when it is discovered. This wasn't even one of those things. This was purely either his laziness, Proctor's refusal to do his job, a combination of the two.
For any and all statements of witnesses, is that right?
Yes.
And we were looking for all exculpatory information, whether
The
tangible.
document speaks for itself.
Okay, that's fine, Judge. So after I filed this motion in December of 2021, you have another conversation with Trooper Proctor saying, give me the 6 search warrants.
I'm sure I did. My general practice is if there is any discovery motion that's filed by counsel, what I'll do is I'll send that to the appropriate police personnel as far as making requests and making sure that they're apprised of what's been at least asked for.
And did you do that in this case? Did you send my motion for discovery to Trooper Proctor, to the Milton Police, to the crime lab, to the medical examiner's office? Did you send it to all of those entities?
Every motion that you filed, yes.
Okay. And then what do you do to follow up with each of those entities? Let's start with the state police. They get a copy of my discovery motion. You're looking for all of the evidence that they have, and specifically these 6 search warrants that, for whatever reason, Trooper Proctor hasn't given you. When you follow up, how long does it take you to follow up from the time that you give them the motion until you get an answer from them?
Specifically, I don't know. Typically, I would give it a couple of weeks or so.
And after a couple, in this case, did you give it a couple of weeks, you think?
Probably.
Okay. And then what happens?
And then I'll follow up again.
When you say follow up, do you send another email, or do you get in your car and drive down there and say, we got to end this, give me this stuff?
I would email or a phone call.
Okay. And so did you email or phone call, or make a phone call to Trooper Proctor in this case?
I'm sure I did.
And what was his response?
I don't
When you
recall.
asked for the 6 search warrants?
I don't recall.
Well, do you have any notes of your conversation with him? Remember you taking notes?
I don't believe so, no.
Is there a reason that you didn't take notes when you spoke to Trooper Proctor after these search warrants had become an issue? That you wouldn't take notes of what Trooper Proctor told you about the search warrants?
So you're asking me about a conversation that I don't recall specifically when it happened or exactly what was said. So whether or not I took notes for that conversation, I don't know. What I would do typically.
But you'd agree, Mr. Lally, that's why we take notes, because we may not recall these things. And at our office, if any of my associates or staff doesn't take notes, I'm like, we can't have that. Anybody needs to be able to open up this file, see what you've done, who you've talked to, what they said, so they can advise the client if they have a question. They can pick up and help work. If you're out sick one day, we need to document the file. I mean, we should not allow, just because it's the government, to be like, oh, well, government employees, what do we expect? Well, it's like, no, this is very important stuff. People's lives are literally on the line. You got to be better than this.
In my general practice is to follow up with whoever I had outstanding discovery requests in relation to try to get whatever information that I was seeking.
Okay. And so did you follow up with Trooper Proctor about the 6 search warrants?
I'm sure I did, amongst probably a number of other items.
Okay. And then you knew this case was going in for another date on discovery, right?
Yes.
And you knew you'd have to answer to the court what you provided and what's outstanding. Isn't that typically how it goes on discovery dates?
Yes.
Did you ever tell the court, geez, I got to have these 6 search warrants that Trooper Proctor has? I can't get my hands on them. Can you issue an order, or can you help me out here?
Did I do that? No.
And that does happen sometimes. Like if the officer's like, hey, I need help, I can't get him, somebody's blocked. I don't know why that would happen with the search warrant, but there are some things that you can help. I need a court order, subpoena me, whatever. And sometimes lawyers have to do things like that, but none of that really applies here. I received a jury summons and I feel so much better prepared now after watching your channel. Thank you. Corey, this is an unexpected result of this channel that I never would have thought would happen. I'm so pumped that it has happened, that people have learned how to be better jurors, understood the process. They're not scared. They're excited. They want to go do their duty. They're going to do it the right way, the appropriate way, to help do their civic duty and help administer justice in our country. I absolutely love when people tell me things like this. It just makes it all worth it. This Lally, if it is, why are we not hearing what if anything, what if anywhere, sort of in a sort of place? Was Lally's style all performance? Well, that's Lally. That's lawyer Lally. This is witness Lally. He doesn't get to ask the questions when he's literally on the witness stand here. Anna, I just got my acceptance to Wash U Law. Thank you for inspiring me, Peter. That is amazing. That's impressive. Congratulations. That's amazing. Keep me up to date with your law school journey, please. I'm excited for you.
So when you went to court, do you remember representing to the court that discovery was ongoing and that you were producing as much information as you could? Remember that?
Typically, that's what I would say if that was the case, yes.
Okay. But you knew when you represented that to the court that you didn't have the search warrants, right?
Yes.
So what was your plan? How are you going to get them?
As I said, what my practice would be if there was some outstanding item of discovery, I would request it.
As I say, what I normally do in my general practice, I keep requesting. It's like sending the same email that doesn't get answered. When you know it doesn't work, you have to do something else. And again, that just shouldn't be how our prosecutors work. It just shouldn't be. I don't care. You can say, oh, government lawyer, or I clock in, clock out, or whatever. Like those excuses don't work when people's lives are on the line and you're a prosecutor. Okay. Like you have to get the job done. You have to do what is necessary.
And follow up if I hadn't received it.
But you did that. You requested it 5 times. You went to see him. Then you got my discovery motion. You sent that to him. You waited another month. And then what happened?
I don't recall.
Well, don't you tell him, get me these things now? I'm coming down your office?
Objection.
Overruled.
Did I ever tell him that? No.
Okay. So what do you do when he's not complying with your request? What's the policy in the office of the district attorney's office in Norfolk County when a state trooper is not complying with a request for discovery?
Objection.
Overruled if there is a policy.
What's the policy?
I don't know any.
I love this judge, by the way. He's letting all these, if we're having this hearing, all this stuff is relevant, right? A lot of judges may not do the same thing. The judge's balance rulings almost appear defense leaning in contrast to Canoni's rulings. On another note, I believe Karen Reed popped into the chat of Melanie Little's coverage of this hearing. That's wild. If Karen Reed is watching the coverage of this stuff now, oh, that's wild. Hope you had a great vacation, but so glad you're back. Same.
Specific policy related to that.
Okay. So do you go to your supervisor then?
By the way, his answer was they don't even have a specific policy to what to do when state troopers not turning over relevant discovery. How about that?
Hey, I've asked Trooper Proctor 5, 6, 7 times for these search warrants. I've been down to see him in person at least once. He's not giving them to me. What do I do?
No.
Did you ever have another
If
case?
you cared, you would do that. If you cared, you'd reach out to your supervisor. Your supervisor probably knows this person. Hey, can you help me out? You try. You at least make an attempt. It seems like he didn't even do that.
Other than Mr. King and Ms. Gardner's case, where a state trooper didn't give you search warrants that you had been asking for since before indictment?
Objection. Overruled.
Not that I recall, no.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I be heard on one slight issue? The discovery that the discovery request that counsel is speaking to, I don't believe that it was ever docketed. I don't have a copy of it. I've never seen it. So
The motion. The motion.
Motion for discovery was filed. He got it.
it may not have reached the docket.
I'm going to skip that a little bit. They just kind of talk about whether this was turned over or not.
And also, at some point, I'd like to mark the pretrial conference report in this case.
Thank you.
So this had never happened to you before, Attorney Lally, and you didn't go to Lynn Beelan, who was your supervisor, and ask her what to do.
Yeah, somebody said, yeah, Proctor's trying to get his job back. Yeah. Earlier in the hearing, Lally asked if he'd ever been accused of not turning over info. He says, no. I found that interesting post Karen Reed. Yeah, I would say that's not true. I didn't know if this was the part you were talking about. That's why I held this question.
What was your plan? How were you going to solve it?
I don't recall specifically having a plan. If there was a situation where I was asked,
Anybody else shocked by that? Lally didn't have a specific plan as to how he was going to get this very relevant discovery that absolutely needed to be turned over?
asking a trooper or a case officer for something and I had not yet received it, I might get that person's supervisor involved as far as saying I've asked for this a few times, I don't have it.
Okay, so let's stop there. Trooper Tully was Trooper Proctor's supervisor, is that right?
Yes.
Did you go to Trooper Tully and say, hey, I don't know what the deal is, but I can't get these 6 search warrants from Trooper Proctor. Can you have him send them to me?
Specifically about the search warrants, I don't recall.
You didn't go to a supervisor.
I don't know if I did or I didn't.
But as you sit here today, you don't remember going to a supervisor, is that right?
I know that there were a number of meetings in relation to discovery that Lieutenant Tully was present for, along with Trooper Proctor, but going specifically to his office to demand 6 search warrants, I don't recall that.
Okay,
So no, you didn't do what you thought might be a good idea to do to try and get this.
how much time goes by before you ask for the search warrants again?
I don't know.
Is it a year?
I don't know.
During the time period, it's fair to say that we were appearing in court every couple of months on discovery,
I
right?
mean, if this was happening in so many cases, I would be complaining to everybody about it. And what are they going to say? They can't be mad at you about this. Is like simple stuff.
Yes.
Did you ever notify the court on any of those court appearances that you were having trouble getting custody of the 6 search warrants that were issued in this case?
No.
Okay. Now, you talked about having meetings, discovery meetings. Tell us what those are.
At various points, probably more towards the early stages, or if there's something that's significant that comes up, it would be just a meeting in relation to this is the discovery that's outstanding. This is what I'm looking for. What's the ETA on this? When should I expect to receive this?
And are those meetings in person or on the phone?
Typically in person.
And do they take place at the DA's office or at the state police?
Well, I mean, in this specific instance, the state police is attached to the DA's office, so it's the same building. So whether it was my end of the hall or their end of the hall, I don't know.
Okay. And do you remember discussing the search warrants and the outstanding nature of the search warrants at the first discovery meeting?
Yes.
And what was the response?
That the search warrants are still ongoing, as some of those search warrants were not just July. I believe it continued into probably September of 2021 as far as the last of the search warrants. I could be off on those dates, but
so how many motions or how many meetings do you have regarding discovery before the return of the search warrant in July of 2021, if that's the date?
not many. I mean, the murder occurs on July 10th, so there's not a lot of time in between that. So probably 2 at the most.
2, okay. And you don't take any notes on those meetings either?
I don't know.
But I guess I can't figure out, how do you keep track? If you have this list that says all these things are outstanding and you're having these meetings because there's things outstanding, if you're not taking notes at these meetings, how do you know what people are saying and when to expect the discussion?
So if there was something that specifically was known as far as, this is what's going on with this piece, and an anticipated sort of ETA on return or something, then yeah, there would probably be a note about that.
All right, so let's assume that the return.
Like, doesn't have a process to track what he has, what he doesn't have, what he's turned over, what he hasn't turned over. If you're not going to turn something over as a prosecutor, you better have a good reason why. And you better have that documented. Like, oh, this is irrelevant, or this has to do with another case, or, I don't need to turn this over, or this is work product and not exculpate, whatever. You should have a reason for it. As a fellow Balkan person, you do look very Greek. My mom, when She saw you, guessed you're Greek before I told her that you have Greek roots. Thank you. I've always thought that, but maybe I'm wrong. Also, happy anniversary to you and your wife. Hope your vacation was great. It was 15 years. I cannot believe I've been alive a lot longer than that. I've been married 15 years. The boating case you guys are taking on, will that be live streamed for us to watch? I don't know. Like, I don't control what is live streamed and what's not, but there's a lot going on in the background of that case. It's really interesting. But I don't know what is live streamed and what is not.
Back to latest July of 2021. Let's give you 3 months, August, September, October. October of 2021. Are you asking again for the search warrant that you still don't
We've
have?
been over this time period. I'm trying to figure out you went all the way through arraignment and on the number of meetings and emails back and forth. I get it, but maybe you want to cover new ground.
I'm just trying to
That's the judge saying, I get it. He didn't do any of it. Move on.
figure out. So let me ask the question. So when do you realize that you never turned over the search warrant? When do you realize?
As far as the 2021,
When did you get the search warrant in your custody?
in my custody,
Yes.
I would say probably I became aware of it about a month ago.
In 2025.
Yes.
July of 2025, or June of 2025.
Yes.
Is the first.
That's crazy. That's literally crazy. Nina said, AJ said in his letter to Cox that there will be severe consequences if he doesn't put Dever on the Brady list. What did AJ mean by that? Well, theoretically, he could be sitting there and as prosecutors not providing exculpatory information and evidence to the defense counsel. It could have cases overturned. It could have huge appellate repercussions. It could obviously have a lot of public repercussions, how people look at it. Is he trying to hide it? Is he admitting it? Is he not? A black mark on the force. I'd have to review the letter again to see if he said anything specifically about that. Off topic, but while you were away, I went back and watched your coverage of Depp v. Heard. What a trip down memory lane. That is when I initially found your channel, and so glad I did. Welcome back. Amy, that's hilarious. I can't imagine what that looks and sounds like compared to this now, but that's funny. Maybe I'll have to go check out some just to see what it sounded like.
You became aware that you didn't turn over the search warrant?
Yes. If I had been aware earlier, then I would have turned over the search warrants.
But you had your list, right? You had your list that said 6 search warrants outstanding, right?
Yes.
You didn't ever check that off, right?
No.
So you knew they were outstanding, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then when did they get to your file?
Again, so as far as my file, they did not. Again, I became aware of it after the case had been transferred from myself to ADA Hickman.
Well, let's talk about that. What date was the case transferred from you to ADA Hickman?
The case has been transferred to a new ADA, which he's going to discuss some of that now.
I'd say probably somewhere in October or November of 2024.
2024.
Yes.
And how does the case, let me say in general, how does the case get transferred from one DA to another? Is there a policy within the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office of what needs to get done to transfer a file?
No policy, no.
Okay. So what did you do in this case with Mr. King and Mr. Gardner to ensure that your complete file got in the hands of ADA Hickman?
So I physically took the physical file from my office to ADA Hickman's office.
Okay. And did you have a conversation with her?
Yes.
And did you tell her, hey, there's 6 search warrants that I was never able to get from Trooper Proctor?
Again, if I had known or remembered.
So he didn't even know. He doesn't know what he has, what he doesn't have, because he doesn't track it. He doesn't have a checklist. This is it. So when it gets transferred to somebody else, now she's got to look at it and be like, what did he get? What did he not? There's no way she would think he wouldn't have gotten these search warrants. But that's what she's left with. Yeah, Alicia, it's not good for him. Not good. Wonder if the start of looking into big Proctor cases too, it's already happening. It's already happening. Everything he has touched is looking bad, and maybe Lally's going to be added to that list too.
Heard that the 6 search warrants were still outstanding, then I would have got them and provided them. So no, I did not reference that specifically.
But then at some point, ADA Hickman has to come back to you and say, did you not turn over these 6 search warrants? Say that to you?
No.
She never did.
Nope.
Did you ever have a conversation with ADA Hickman about the outstanding 6 search warrants?
Not until recently, no.
Okay. And what transpired?
Objection. Sustained.
Well, so when you told the court that discovery was almost complete, did you know?
So I'm going to skip ahead. There's a little like impeachment kind of. We'll hear her eventually impeach him, but this was kind of about whether or not he said to the court that discovery was basically complete, or as far as discovery goes, he's in good position, and she ends up impeaching him with his own words at a hearing. Not great, but like, you got to know. If you didn't, but he doesn't even know what he doesn't know. He doesn't even know what he didn't turn over. It's brutal. And like, too bad. As a lawyer, you have to know. You have to know what you did and didn't turn over, especially when it's been asked for over and over again. Yes, everybody hit that like button. We're back. Like it. Like the video. We're back.
Talking about discovery that I'll check on, and some other pieces that I was speaking to Ms. Coster about. But I think hopefully, if by March 11th date, we should be able to proceed forward. Remember saying that to the court?
Do I remember saying that to the court? No.
Does reading that refresh your memory that you said it to the court?
I didn't read that portion. What page are we on?
Yes.
You can read. Does that refresh your memory? Maybe a rally that you indicated to the court that, yes, exactly right. So maybe a couple of outstanding pieces that I'll check on, and some other pieces that I was speaking to Ms. Coster about. But hopefully by the March 11th date, we should be able to proceed forward. Did you say that to the court?
Well, those are two. So does it refresh my memory? No, but according to that transcript, that's what I said. Yeah.
Okay, Jen McCabe. Now we know where she heard it from. It's like, well, my memory is not refreshed, but I do read myself saying it in that hearing. It's like, that's brutal. So you're just willing to say it, even though. Here's the worst part about it. If he doesn't know, that's horrible, whatever. But he's willing to tell the court that everything's basically done, just some small things I still have to turn over, which turned out to not be correct. You can't say that. You can't make those representations to the court as a lawyer if you don't even know what discovery you have. You don't know what's been turned over. You don't know what the cops have given you, what they haven't. You don't know which of that discovery has been turned over to the defense. And if you haven't turned some over, why you didn't turn it over. So as a prosecutor, you just can't do things like that. And I told you at the beginning, I would tell you how I would look at this case as a criminal defense attorney. That's been most of my opinion so far. As a prosecutor, I would be embarrassed to be a part of this office. I would never say this is how I do my job. I would never do my job this way. And if this is how they work and this is how they want it done, you got to move on. You got to quit. You got to be better than this. As a prosecutor, I would be embarrassed and I would hate this. And I'll save some of my thoughts about how I would look at all this if I was a judge. Peter, welcome back. I'm confused. What is the desired outcome of this hearing? Either to suppress some of this undisclosed discovery if it's prejudicial, or even dismiss the case outright, potentially. How can Aunt Bev follow Karen to the civil court? I heard she was already rotated off. A lot of different jurisdictions do it differently, but judges rotate all the time. I don't think she's going to be the judge on the civil case. If I was her lawyers, I would absolutely be like, no way. I watched your old blooper reel. The way Papa T looked at you was priceless. Yes, that was hilarious. We talked about doing another one, John. We need to do that. Peter, you seem very refreshed and re-energized. We're so glad you're back. I am feeling great. Pumped to be here. All right. It's getting right around that 1 hour mark. We're going to have a little bit of overtime. We still have about 10 minutes left of this hearing to listen to. Hit that like button if you want it to go into some overtime for our first video back in a couple weeks.
And you know at that point that there were still 6 outstanding search warrants that you didn't have?
No. Again, if I had known, then I would have gotten them and provided them.
And that's the part. That's not an excuse. You didn't know, so you can't say discovery was basically done because you don't even know.
Okay. But weren't we talking about search warrants on this day?
You're talking about 2022 search warrants, which were in a subsequent notice of discovery related to a cell tower dump. You were provided all of those as far as the application, the affidavit, the return, and copies of the warrants themselves.
So we're talking about search warrants.
Separate search warrants, yes.
And nothing's ringing a bell that you didn't turn over 6 search warrants?
Apparently not.
Even he's like, yeah, apparently not. Might be.
Okay. So the 2022 search warrants that we talked about in court back on January 24th of 2024. At that point, Mr. King was indicted. Is that right?
Yes.
Was Ms. Gardner indicted?
Yes.
All right. So what process did you go through to issue the 2022 search warrants after indictment?
Through this court.
I'm sorry?
Through this court.
So you went to Superior Court and asked for these search warrants. Is that right?
Myself personally, no.
Well, did you notify defense counsel that you were asking for search warrants in a case where a client had already been indicted?
No.
Do you know whether or not there's an obligation on behalf of the district attorney's office to notify defense counsel post-indictment if you're moving to request additional search warrants?
They weren't search warrants that were pertaining to the defendants. They were.
Do you know whether or not there is an obligation on behalf of the district attorney's office, you specifically, to notify defense counsel if you're seeking search warrants after indictment?
Objection. If this is a legal, yeah.
Sustained.
Thank you.
He's asking for a legal opinion. We can't have Lally giving legal opinions, right? It's like, Dever said the DOJ attorney told her that it's not a lie if it wasn't with bad intention. Do you believe that that the feds are okay with it? I don't necessarily know if it was exactly like that, but again, perjury and those types of lies, there is an intent element to it. So we're getting into an it depends situation, but it is possible that if it was, an accident or she didn't recall it correctly or she was correcting a mistake, that's different than intentionally lying about something.
So in any event, we're talking about search warrants in January of 2024. You don't say anything about the search warrants that are still outstanding, those 6. And you tell the court there's only a few things that are outstanding then. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And then we come back, we suggest March and we come back in March. Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Then in March, do you tell the court, Your Honor, as far as discovery goes, we're in fairly good position. In regard to that, I believe that was turned over just prior at the last date. So there may be a couple of other additional items of discovery that I need to get and turn over. But otherwise, I think we're in a fairly good position. Did you say that to the court, sir?
Again, I don't.
Finish, Your Honor.
Yes. These transcripts in the FTR, what's on the FTR, what was said by whom, when, is all a matter of public record, and we can look at the FTR and get it. So specific quotes and what was said, what was represented, that's part of the record, and we can see
I
that.
just have to set it up so I can ask the question that I want to ask, Judge.
Great.
Thank you. So after having made that representation to the court, did you do anything to get the 6 search warrants?
No.
What were the outstanding matters as far as you want?
So it's like you said, you were almost done and you still were not even trying to get the search warrants that way. She's basically this time just throwing him over the coals, saying just how bad of a job he did gathering this information, following up and keeping her up to date. When you've told as many lies as the Commonwealth, it's hard to keep track. He just can't remember what's a lie and what's not. Morrissey, Proctor, the whole gang is toxic and needs to be removed. I got to be honest. He thinks he's like getting away. And again, in front of a jury, it all depends. What does a jury think when a witness just says, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't recall, I don't remember that. No, that doesn't refresh my recollection. Yes, you're reading that I said these words, but I don't remember. Sometimes a jury can be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But for a judge, if I'm a judge looking at this, and this is the way I view it now as a judge, this ain't good. And now I feel like I cannot believe what you say. If this is how you follow up and I tell you you've got to turn over discovery and you haven't, this is what I'm going to think you're doing if this is your office and this is the process. I'm learning a lot about your process. Every DA, by the way, has a different process. So if a new DA comes in, they may implement different, like I said, supervisors and different processes. So if I'm a judge now in this case, I'm not trusting these district attorneys as far as I can throw them. If the defense says you're not turning over discovery and I know that defense lawyer and I trust them and I think they've been credible throughout their time litigating a case with me and their career, because everybody knows everybody. This is doing nothing to help the district attorney's office with their credibility in front of this judge or any judge that watches this.
It stood back in March of 2024.
I don't recall exactly what we were talking about on a court date in March of 2024.
Do you have any notes that would refresh your memory as to what was outstanding at that point?
I might.
And would they be in your file?
If they were anywhere, that's where they would be, yes.
Okay. Now, other than the discovery motion that we filed, did we also file a pretrial conference report in this case?
That I don't recall.
Okay. But you understand, normally we file a pretrial conference report where you agree to give you what I'm asking for and we agree to file motions on stuff we can't agree on. Is that typically how it goes?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't remember signing a pretrial conference report? Not that you didn't, you just don't recall.
I don't recall every pretrial conference report I've signed.
Okay. And then we talked about the meeting with the state police. Did you have any meetings with the Milton police regarding outstanding discovery?
In-person meetings? No.
Did you send the Milton police the same type of discovery request that you would have sent to the state police?
Yes.
And did you follow up with the Milton police the same way that you say you followed up with the state police?
Yes.
And did you follow up specifically with Lieutenant Collins?
Yes.
And so what in your mind was outstanding on the Milton discovery that you were communicating with Lieutenant Collins regarding?
At what time?
Let's start at the beginning.
Again, it's
like, well, give me a date range of what you're talking about. Idiot Wind, why continue to ask for something and have repeated conversations about something you don't know you don't have, as you claim you did? What is a portion of the search warrant? So many questions. Yeah, it is getting a little bit confusing, but generally he's like, I don't remember anything because I didn't even know I didn't have the search warrants. It's all bad. There's no answer that's going to be like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm with him now.
the same type of information that you asked about before, as far as reports or photographs or any material that they might have pertinent to the case.
So whatever the Milton police turned over to you, would you have kept notes of that somewhere?
Yes.
Or there have been emails back and forth between you and Milton about what transpired?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any trouble getting information from the Milton Police Department?
No.
When you asked for things, did they return your email and give you what you were looking for?
Yes.
Were there any reports from the Milton Police Department that you say you didn't have before you turned the case over to ADA Hickman?
There was one report, yes.
And what was that report regarding?
Mr. Turner.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Turner.
And what about Mr. Turner?
There was a report in the materials that ADA Hickman turned over in 2025 that was, I believe, offered by Detective Sergeant Clifford Murphy pertaining to Mr. Turner that I had never seen before.
Okay.
Isn't that funny? The new DA was able to get more information, and Milton PD was more helpful than maybe Proctor was. The contrast. Is it all the ADAs and all the cops or just the bad ones? Because again, we're applying it and he's applying it to the entire office, but we got to be careful with that, right? And if I was in this, that's why I said if I was a prosecutor in this office, I would say we got to change or I'm out of here. I'm not letting this tarnish my reputation as a lawyer as well. It takes a long time to build a good reputation and it can go away like that.
And you know why that wasn't turned over by the Milton Police Department?
No.
Did you go down to the Milton Police Department and look through their file?
No.
At any point in time when you were representing the Commonwealth, in this case, did you go down to the Milton Police Department and look through their file?
No.
Is that something that you would normally do in a homicide case? Go to the police officer's office and ask for the file?
At what point in the case?
At any point.
Typically, that would be something that I would endeavor to do closer to trial.
Closer to trial.
Yes.
So how could you make sure your obligation was satisfied if you're not meeting with the police until right before trial?
An ongoing duty and obligation that extends even beyond the trial.
Right, that's not my point. My point is you're not meeting with them and you're not going through their information. How do you know you've turned everything over to the defense?
Because I've requested it and I've been given assurances or information indicating that that is what they have.
Let me ask you the same question about the state police. Did you ever go through the state police file while you were handling the case, as opposed to making requests and even sitting down with the state police to make, face-to-face requests on an ongoing basis and all the follow-up contacts that you had? Did you ever actually request their whole file to go through it yourself?
No.
Okay.
Even the judge is like, did you do your job in this case, sir? Will it be soon or next year for the boating case? Very interested. It's going to take a while. It's not going to be something that's handled in a snap, but I can't comment really on it. The defense attorney also represented Sean Ellis, who was charged with the M of a Boston cop in '93. He was tried 3 or 4 times. Conviction that was overturned years later because of Ellie's conduct. Same song, different verse. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that's why this is all bad. Because even if they get the right person, which I don't know if they did or not, I don't know anything about this case, but it can get overturned and ruined, tarnished. That's why we always say, do it the right way. Get a conviction that will stand if you have the right person.
And can you tell us, was there a policy within the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office of sitting down with police departments, whether it's state police or Milton Police, and reviewing their file prior to trial?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. So how far in advance of trial do you finally sit down and go through, let's take the Milton Police box?
It would depend case to case, but it's something that I would probably do at least a few months ahead of trial.
A few months. And is that the first time that you put your hands on the actual box, or are you still dependent upon the Lieutenant Collins and other officers to give you what you're looking for?
No, that would be a time where I'm actually like, let me see the file and ensure that I have everything that you have.
Okay. And is there
You should have done that.
is there any prohibition to that meeting that you have a couple of months prior to trial happening right after indictment?
No, and that would be my practice now.
But this is perfect. By the way, he's saying he's changes the way he does it. But this is the perfect example of why does all this stuff blow up at the end? Why is this so hard? Why is it so unfair? Why are criminal defendants having to waive their speedy trial right? Why is it impossible to try a case like this? Because this is what prosecutors do. They don't turn it over. They turn it over at the last minute after deadlines or at the deadlines. Even if they have it during the grand jury proceedings, they don't turn it over. Not all prosecutors, okay? Just bad prosecutors. And she's like, why would you not have this like big overall meeting to look at the file much earlier in the case? Why do you wait before trial? And then now we figure out when we were talking to the Karen Reed trial, how are they just turning over these notes from officers for interviewing witnesses? How are they just turning over these snippets of the Sallyport video? How are they turning all this over now? Because Lally doesn't bother to have this catch-all meeting until right before trial, where he figures out what he has and what he doesn't have. You're literally like the rules tell you, and judges need to hold you accountable. You have to do that earlier on. This is unacceptable. It cannot be this way. I cannot stress that enough, that it just can't be this way. And for the last 3 minutes, he's just going to basically talk about, oh, I do things different now. This is my new way I do it, is much earlier on. It's like, duh.
Happening right after indictment.
No, and that would be my practice now. So you're asking about sort of my general practice at the time. That would have been it at the time, but now I would do that much, much earlier in a case.
Good.
Okay. And the state police the same way? Did you sit down with them at some point and look through their file, or you never looked through their file?
No, as his honor just asked, no, I didn't.
Okay. So I guess my question is, how did it work? Did they only look through their file and send you what you're asking for? Or at any point did they send you, here's everything that we have?
My request and my ask was for everything they had. So as far as me then double checking to ensure that I have everything they have, that would be something.
Which is the lawyer's job, especially on something like, it's one thing to say, oh, I didn't even know there was video in the Sally port, so they hid that from me. There's nothing I can do. You knew these search warrants existed. You should have known you didn't have them if you knew the file at all, and you should have followed up. I didn't know is not a valid excuse here about this specifically. Something
that would occur later on. And as I just indicated, my practice now would be to do that much earlier in a case.
Okay. So when you go in this case, you knew we had picked a September 8th trial date, right?
I was aware, yes.
Okay. So you knew the case was ready for trial on September 8th. When were you planning?
September 8th when they had a trial and he didn't turn over all this stuff, right? Going up trial. I mean, that's just not a fair process. I don't care if the person did it, if you think the person did it, if they're guilty, whatever. That's just such an unfair process. And we're really starting to see, and this is not the only district attorney or state attorney or prosecuting attorney office that does this. They have all the leverage, they hold all the cards, all the resources, and they can screw so many defendants if they really want to. They really can. And this is what it looks like and sounds like. And some of them just don't care.
On sitting down with the Milton police and going through their file?
As the case was reassigned to ADA Hickman around the time that we selected the trial date, I don't know that I had a specific plan to do that. I did have a specific plan to meet with ADA Hickman to...
He doesn't really have a specific plan to do anything, it sounds like.
Go through the file to ensure that she had everything that was there.
So by the time she had taken over in January of 2025, you had not made any plans to sit down with the Milton police to go through their file, is that right?
She had taken over prior to that, but no, I hadn't.
Okay, and the same with the state police, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so when you're updating ADA Hickman, when she takes over the case, do you tell her, I've never actually seen the files, it's on my list of things to do, but I never get down there, you should get down and take a look at the files?
Not that specific, but yes.
What did you tell her?
That, during the regular trial preparation.
Like when he says, it's obviously just a crutch, right, that people use, but I'd be like, no, I don't know. I don't know how you guys do things because it's appalling and illogical and just totally anti whatever I would think you would do to prep a case.
Or meeting with the officers as it gets closer to trial, I would do that, but I hadn't done that yet.
So I still kind of understand. Is there like when the police give you something, do they just email it to you, or is there like a list to say, we gave Lally these documents on this date?
As far as their list?
Yes.
I have no idea what they have.
Okay. So you don't know, as you stated today, if they have an index of all the things they say they gave to you?
I don't.
Okay. And do you, on the opposite side, have an index of the things you got from them?
It would be contained within those requests, yes.
All right, so at some point, do you print out all your requests and say, okay, let me just make sure I have everything here. I've been requesting something since, December of 2021. I want to make sure I have everything. Do you sit down and do that at some point to make sure everything you requested, you received?
My general practice would be, yes, that would be as I know we're getting closer to a trial date.
Attorney Scapiccio, it's
this is when the judge stops it, basically continues the hearing to August 5th. We just witnessed a lashing, a deserved one too. So brutal. John, how about your boy Scotty in the open? Is he just too good? Sorry, not staying on topic. Sure seems that way. Like, no doubt about it, he was going to win. When he was even in the hunt on day 2, you knew he was going to win, and he does it with ease. And I love how he's just like, whatever. He doesn't even seem to care, which is the best. I love Scotty Scheffler. I hope he wins every golf tournament. Off topic, sorry, but I watched Stephen Turn's plea. What does no contest mean to M? His statement at the end was just twisted. I didn't watch it, but this is the Madeline Soto case. He pled no contest. My guess would be the only way he'd be allowed to plead no contest if there was no concessions. He's just going to get whatever the max is. I don't know if it's a death penalty case or a life case. But I don't think there were any concessions made by the prosecutor if he pled no contest in this situation, but I haven't watched it. Man, I'm starting to wonder if all the DAs and ADs in this Commonwealth got their degrees from Trump University. There's so much going on around the country that I hope we're able to really watch and get a sense of different jurisdictions so people can understand what it's like out there. Better Row with Brother Counsel, 4 p.m. We'll watch after this, then Young Jerks at 6:15. Awesome. Lots to watch and cover on this tonight. Do attorneys or their staff not use something like a grant chart for organization and planning? So every office does it differently. Some are old school. The prosecutor's office I worked at here was so old school. It's a different state attorney now, but everything was paper. Here, everything is electronic and it's all saved to the file. We have automatic checklists and things that you can't move on to one thing unless you complete one task. Checks and balances where multiple people are looking at it and checking each other. It's not just one person. You're signing off on it. Your work is your work. So there are different ways to set it up. Our systems that we have in place are so important to us. And it's the best way to keep everybody accountable. So I love it. It's something that I set up maybe like 5 or 7 years ago. And we continue to improve it nonstop. So, okay. When you have a sec, would you cover the Chris Schultz trial in Arizona in September? So many questions. Father's charge was just upgraded. So I know nothing about it. We'll have to take a look, see how it works. If the more people that ask about it, the more likely we'll cover it, especially if it's a trial. That gets me excited. But that's it. First live back in the books. You guys are the best. I appreciate it so much. You coming and joining and hanging out with me. Mom is a juror on a 2-day trial, starts tomorrow. Let me know how it goes after the trial. Don't talk to her about it during the trial. So if everybody would hit that like button, we can go and bounce up out of here until tomorrow. We got the Koberger sentencing on Wednesday. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. You guys let me know on Twitter, @LawyerYouKnow, on Instagram, @TragosLaw. Send whatever cases you are following my way, and we will see if we can take a look at them. But that's all we got. Till next time, peace. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. And don't forget to check out the Lawyer You Know podcast with new seasons dropping every quarter. If you have a case you want to talk to us about, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouKnow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, the Lawyer You Know.